Hello and welcome to another What Sold on eBay video. We're going to go over 15 items that sold for a total of $4,100, and there's going to be some definitely some eBay bolos in here. Everything's going to be over $50, so we're going to go over each item and give a little bit of a description and some history and a little bit of nuggets on each item. You can definitely find these items at estate sales, garage sales, and thrift shops. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, you want to learn more to earn more, go down there, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and if you would throw a like at this video, let's get right into it. First up, we have this genuine American alligator black glossy buckle, or belt, I should say, with no buckle. If this thing actually had a buckle, it probably would have went for a little bit more. Actually, when I was looking at this listing right now, when I was going through all these listings, I noticed that I didn't put belt anywhere in the title, which is like not like me to put the most relevant keyword in the whole kind of situation here. This is a belt, and I did not put belt in the title, so I just noticed that literally right now. So I thought that was pretty funny. This might have sold a little bit faster than it did. We did take a best offer for about $80 on this thing, and like I said, if it had actually a belt buckle on it, it probably could have went for a little bit more. It's unbranded, as we can see here. We'll look at this kind of thing. It says genuine alligator, size 32. No branding. I'm assuming the belt buckle might have had the branding of sorts. Usually, when you see alligator or crocodile belt buckles or belts, I should say, and there's a belt buckle attached to it, it's usually like sterling silver or something really fancy. So I can imagine that's what happened with this thing. Is someone must have either kept the buckle or sold it or something like that when we got it. But anyways, this is a pretty good sale. Keep an eye out for belt buckles that are alligator, lizard, snake, all that kind of stuff. They actually sell very well. Next up, we have this Roku. This is Studio Pottery. I was gonna say pottery, pottery. Studio Art Pottery. Wow, geez, we're already in the second one. And I can't even talk. Anyways, this is an iridescent abstract gold, copper, green. All the little keywords in there. For those who don't know what Studio Pottery is, it's basically like when it's almost like a school, like an art school, and it's usually a dedicated place to make pottery. It's usually like an artist will own a studio, and there's a bunch of students, and there's just it's kind of like a collective, a smorgasbord of different artists that make pottery in mass quantities in a particular studio, and that's where you get the word studio art pottery. And you could search on eBay for that, and you'll see tons of that stuff. Now, a lot of this stuff isn't marked, and that's usually what people will do if it's not marked. Usually on the foot or the base here, you can see there's usually a mark of some sort. Even on the lip, let me see if I can actually show this. I don't think this one has it. I want to show you exactly. If there's a side, there's no bottom side. Let me see if there's a bottom side photo. Anyways, you can't see it, but in the bottom of the foot, sometimes around the edge will be the marking. So, one of the markings, the most obvious marking for most pottery is going to be at the base of the foot right here in the very flat bottom. That's usually going to be a marking. Or if it's not there, look on the very sides of the foot. Sometimes there's markings there. This one completely doesn't have any marking. It is old, as you can see here. It's got some wear to it. Now there is pottery that is made to look old, but this is pretty much seen better days, as you can see here. And some people actually like this aesthetic for home decor, decorations, and stuff like that. So anyways, this sold for $70 plus shipping. So, keep an eye out for pottery. You see this stuff all the time at garage sales. And like I said, flip it open, flip it upside down, and look at the base and see what you can find. Next up, we have this vintage swatch. This is a Times Square special edition, limited edition. Retail price was $55 on this. We did take a best offer, I want to say, for about $75 on this one. New batteries were put into all these swatches that we have, so they're tested and worked. This one was pre-owned, basically in near mint condition. It had the box and everything. And just look out for swatch stuff. Just kind of, I guess one of the little warnings about swatches is, especially the ones from the 80s, the plastic bands, they degenerate over the years. So like the plastic gets all crumbly and weird. So if you're ever buying these things, just kind of take that into consideration also. Sometimes the plastic's yellow and they turn all kinds of, like I said, some of the plastics weren't made that great, and they fall apart and they chip, and there's all kinds of problems like that. So usually if I pick up swatches, they're going to be like near mint condition, if not like super super, like I said, mint condition and other stuff like that. I try to stay away from the stuff that's all crumbly and falling apart. But like I said, to each their own. If I find an old crumbly swatch like at a garage sale for $1, I might pick it up and just take the band off and just sell the face, by itself. So that's one of the things. These things, usually have this kind of screw back. So, open that up with a screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, and see if there's any corrosion or something, because that's where usually corrosion is going to be in that. But for the most part, swatches when they look amazingly new, 99% of the time they're going to be working just fine once you put a new battery in them. Next up, we have this Christopher Radko. And by the way, Christopher Radko is a Bolo brand for Christmas ornaments. So if you have a little notepad or some kind of, you want to file this in the back of your brain, whenever you see Christopher Radko, definitely pick this stuff up if you can find it cheap enough, because some of this stuff actually retails for good money. And so, if you could find this on the secondhand market, it's very cheap. Definitely picking them up. Character stuff does usually very well, though Christopher Radko, has lots of different things that he's done, mostly Christmas decorations and ornaments and things like that. So, just keep an eye out for this particular name. It is a Bolo brand. If you can get it cheap enough, I would suggest buying it. Anything Disney, does very well during the Christmas time, Disney ornaments, Hallmark, stuff like that. But this one sold for $60, and we sat on this for about a year. So, selling now in December, it's pretty timely. It makes sense to me that this would sell now. And so if you got those Christmas ornaments, definitely get them listed within the next few days, or you might have to wait another year before, that market starts to get hot again. Anyways, we sold this for $60 plus shipping. Next up, we have this lot of Levi's. These are 501 distress. These things actually kind of definitely have a little bit of wear to them. Anyways, this is a lot of 5. These are 34 by 34s. These sold for $70. Not much to say about this. Basically pants. If you can find the same sizes, that's nice. Pick them up. I'm pretty sure this is probably going to someone is going to wear these, and so definitely lot up pants if you can get them. I know I got a storage unit with like a few boxes of pants that I bought like years ago that I thought I was going to resell, and so I can't wait for next year to kind of break those out and just kind of just liquidate all those pants that I have in storage. Anyways, this is a good thing to do for, so especially if you have like the all the same sizes, you lot them together. This sold for $70 plus shipping. Next up is this vintage Madame Alexander. This is Wizard of Oz. We got Dorothy the Tin Man, Lion, and the Scarecrow. These aren't brand new, even though they look like they're brand new. These have seen a little bit of display. They're basically near mint condition, as we could see here. This set actually used to go for a lot of money back in the day. Well, I don't want to say back in the day, maybe like 10 years ago. This set would have probably went for $200 or $300. Madame Alexander prices have softened up in the last 5 years, I would say, like tremendously. It is not the same brand price-wise as it was like 10 years ago. I don't know if it's just the collector base has fallen off the map or what, but it's one of those like old-time kind of collectibles. And we've talked about this before in the past. There's some collectibles that get hot during a certain time frame, and then they just fizzle out, and then they never come back to their former glory. I think we're seeing that kind of thing with dolls in general, especially Madame Alexander dolls. They used to fetch pretty good money. Now they really don't. Anyways, I want to say we took a best offer for $80 plus shipping on this particular set, this particular lot. We set on this for about a month, and so I thought for sure this would sell for $100 because it's pretty much worth $100. $25 a figure. I think Dorothy, out of all of them, goes for probably the most by itself. One little pro tip about Dorothy is sometimes Toto gets lost. He's basically tied in there by like a little tiny rope. In my previous dealings with this set, finding Toto is really hard to do, especially if you lose it. If you wanted to part this out, Toto can probably go for $20 alone, just for the little figure in itself and the little basket and stuff. So that's usually the thing that goes missing out of all this whole set. So usually, Tin Man's hat, Toto, and the Scarecrow's mask usually are the things that are missing in this particular set. And I think the lion has his little heart chain, but it's usually underneath the kind of little costume he's got there. But anyways, like I said, Madame Alexander, just look them each one of them up if you ever come across them. Don't just buy them on just thinking like, oh, Madame Alexander, that name's really it's not the same anymore. So, anyways, just my 2 cents on that. Next up, we have this Department 56. For those that don't know what Department 56 is, it's basically like a ceramic little tiny house. They have like villages and things like that. It's basically for Christmas and Thanksgiving and kind of home decor. And you can build like little kind of towns and sets, around your house and stuff. And Department 56 is very well known for this particular stuff. The Halloween things do very well. The Christmas stuff does okay. But as you can see here, this is a retired set from Department 56, and this sold for $75, and it just basically, was used with a box. And if you do pick these up, just make sure you open them up and look inside them, because there's so many little things that can break in these particular ceramic houses. So if you ever buy a huge collection of these, don't just buy them sight unseen unless the price is ridiculously low. Always open them up and look at them, because if you buy a collection of these and like half of them are broken, it's pretty much worthless. As far as like people that buy these kind of things, people aren't going to want to buy broken ones. Even if like a chimney's broken or something, people sometimes frown away from that. So, anyways, I had my spiel about Department 56. It sells very well. Sometimes they're a little bit long tail on some of them, but if you get the right ones, and like I said, look up the Halloween ones. Some of them go for crazy money, just like the Lamax kind of spooky town stuff. It's kind of like the same vein. Like I said, this sold for $75 plus shipping. Next up, we have this Lewis Hill for Tommy Bahama. These actually are sterling earrings, sterling silver. When I got these from the store that I sold these for, they just said that they were silver tone, and I was kind of like looking at them and looking up comps on these, because I was trying to figure out like, okay, well, how much does these go for? And I noticed that all these Lewis Hill Tommy Bahama earrings were all sterling, and then I took a closer look at it, and sure enough, on the little post there, it said 925. So these things were solid silver, sterling silver, and so they had some pretty good weight to them. Anyways, the majority of them were selling anywhere between $80 to like $150, so I decided to put $100 on these. Of course, these sold pretty quick for $100 plus shipping. And so it just tells you, once again, especially look at this price tag, $168. That might not seem like a normal price for just silver tone earrings, unless it was like a really well-known designer. I never heard of Louis. It's probably Louis or Louise Hill. I never heard of that particular designer, but I will be looking out for this kind of stuff in the future, because there is a pretty good market for that particular brand. And Tommy Bahama, of course, is a staple with all resellers. Pretty much all resellers know about Tommy Bahama and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, just keep an eye out for this kind of stuff if you see it out in the wild. Like I said before in many videos, sometimes you think things are just silver or gold tone, and they actually happen to be solid precious metals. So just keep another eye on everything that you're selling or picking up. Next up, we have this Hermes. These are men's dress shoes. These are vintage mock buckle. As you can see here, these things actually had some pretty crazy wear to them. Not like a tremendous amount of gnarly wear, but wear nevertheless. As you can see here, there's some cracking in the leather and stuff like this. I want to say we took a best offer for about $100 on these, and as you can see here, definitely a little bit of wear. So that's what happens with these older shoes. Eventually, they crack, especially if you own these for a long time. Leather is kind of like a skin, and it needs to be oiled every once in a while to keep its suppleness. That's the word for it, supple. Anyways, this is a pretty good sale from Carol in Rancho Mirage. Huge shout out to Carol. She's doing an amazing job. Next up, we have this vintage. These are Marshall Studios mid-century modern bookends. These are probably the weirdest bookends I've seen all year. We've talked about bookends in the past. These are mid-century modern. If you've never heard of that term, it's basically like home decor that's come out, or home decor or art or furniture that came out in the 50s. Sometimes it's like the late 40s and the early 60s could be kind of grouped into that mid-century modern, because that makes sense. Mid-century. What is mid-century? The middle of a century. What century? The 20th century, 1900s. What is the middle of that? 1950. There you go. Mid-century modern. Explained. Mid-century modern explained. If you didn't know. So that stuff is really really hot right now with home decor and collectors and things like that. So yeah, like I said, these are kind of odd bookends, and so just keep an eye out for bookends and stuff. This sold for $110. Next up, we have this antique sterling vanity dresser set. If you ever see these kind of brushes and combs and mirrors, take a look at the bases and the handles and things, because sometimes they'll say sterling and you won't even see it because it'll be like this, like marked very, very small. And a lot of the antique kind of vanity sets are sterling. I mean, there's a lot of silver plate sets, don't get me wrong, but there's a good amount of them that are actually sterling. As you can see here, you can see it's sterling on the handle kind of top right there. And that can make a difference between like $35 and $350. So just keep an eye out for this. It shows 75, but we took a best offer for 100 on this. What happens is if you do an auction with best offer and you take the best offer, it's usually higher sometimes. And so it'll show the actual first bid, which is $75. And so I wish eBay would change that, but that's just how it is. And that's eBay for you. They just do kind of weird stuff that makes things a little bit difficult for kind of looking at stuff on the back end. But other than that, so look out for that kind of stuff. Next up, we have this Michel Deco. This is a Grand Carousel multicolor watch. We took a best offer for $200. Michel is definitely a watch brand to look out for. It's not like super super high end, but it is a brand that people buy and is kind of like a higher end brand as far as watches go. Some of the retails on these things go for like $500 and something ridiculous like that. To be honest, like I mean, the quality's okay, but I don't think it's worth like the money that these things retail for. But anyways, we took a best offer for about $200 on this. This thing was like had some little bit of wear to it, and has a little bit of slight scuffing and scratches, but that's to be expected with something that has a little bit of use wear to it. Anyways, like I said, we took a best offer for $200 on this. So Michelle watch, if you don't have a box, it's going to be this kind of M with this upside down kind of round circle thing. So look out for that that logo if you ever see that in a pile of watches at a thrift store or garage sale or something like that. Next up, we have this vintage Pendleton Aztec Indian pattern wool jacket. What was interesting about this particular piece was it actually had tags. I don't know if it's probably from like the late 80s or the early 90s. And it was very interesting that, it still had its tags. And so that was what made this an amazing sale. This sold for $250 plus shipping. Amazing sale from Jake. It's really hard to find old Pendleton stuff that has tags with it still. So this is a really cool piece. And this stuff, sometimes comes through the shop. Every once in a while throughout the year, we get some vintage stuff like this. So it was really cool. Next up, we have this vintage authentic Tiffany & Company signature cross earrings. We've talked about Tiffany & Company before in the past. That's what the number looks like, or the little hallmark on the back. Tiffany & Co. 750. For those who don't know, 750 is 18 karat gold. So sometimes people might miss that and think 750 doesn't mean anything, but it actually means 18 karat gold. I think it's a European stamp. I gotta kind of double check that. I know it's just another stamp for 18 karat, and Tiffany & Company has a premium on anything. I think the weight of the gold weight alone on these things are like maybe $500, if that. And so the name Tiffany & Company really adds a little bit of value, on top of these earrings. And these things are actually pretty heavy for their size, which usually can tell that it's like solid gold. If metal has like this kind of weird kind of weight to it for its size, definitely go and double check it to make sure if it's not solid sterling or gold. Anyways, we took a best offer for about, I want to say it was like $750 plus shipping on this. It was actually a really good sale. So nice pair of earrings sold for a lot of money. Lastly, we got this international sterling. We've talked about kind of sterling before in the past many times. We've had lots of these sets come in this year, which is kind of crazy to think about. In my entire time working for the American Cancer Society, we maybe would get one of these sets a year. And this year we had probably 6 or 7 of these sets come in. So pretty good lot. This is 86 ounces of silver, sterling silver, except for the forks. I mean, except for the butter knives. We talked about that before in the past, where um, the the blades are stainless steel, so they're not sterling, but the handles are sterling silver. Anyways, we took a best offer. I forget exactly how much, but it was pretty close to. I think it was pretty close to what this price was. And yeah, we sat on this for maybe 3 or 4 months before it sold because I didn't want to sell this for cheap. You get a lot of lowball offers on this type of stuff, especially if it's bulked up like this. And I was just waiting for that, that pretty close to 1800, and we got it. So that was a good sale. Anyways, I'm Chris, the Thrift Shop Hustler. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely go down there, click the like button, click the subscribe button. We'll see you next time. Take care.